Hey there, we are the Gratitude Girls.
Hello, RaRa is in the house. Hi, Laurie. How are you?
Great, how are you?
I'm really good. Here we are. We made it.
We made it.
Oh my gosh. Another Christmas, another holiday, another Hanukkah, another celebration, not only behind us, but ahead of us. I'm really excited to be here. And you have a Christmas tree behind you. And I don't, but just know that we have a very, very celebratory house for so many reasons. So I want to say hello to our audience. And Laurie, I want to tell you how grateful I am to be able to have another holiday season with you and to share all the things that I'm so grateful for. And to start off, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for being my Gratitude Girl partner.
Thank you. Well, I am so grateful for you being my Gratitude girl partner as well. And yes, we have so many things in store coming up for this year. So I'm just so excited about all our plans.
I was thinking about that. So to our audience who's watching right now, we're just going to chit chat a little bit and then we'll give you some background. But I was thinking about, everybody talks about what do you want to do for 2019? And today I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were both talking about our businesses and what we have planned and what we have in store. And I found myself sharing some of my thoughts. And as I did that, I thought, oh, yeah, that must be my plan. That must be my plan. That must be what I want to do. I think about it all year long. And here I was having a very heartfelt conversation, sharing some of my innermost ideas on what I want to accomplish this year around the world. It's so natural to talk about it, the type of environment that we're in. We're always talking about that and visiting what we want to do. And today it felt really good to share that. Maybe for the first time, I would say I didn't have to recite it or read from it. It truly came from my heart. And wow, it scared me. Those were some awesome things that I want to do this year. I scared myself and I thought, perfect. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep scaring myself so that I can talk to people and share with them what I have in store for myself and the people in my sphere. What I want, and I would love to hear what you have in store, but what I wanted to do first was start with the inception of Gratitude Girls. Those of our guests and our audience who have not heard the story or don't really know what happened with Laurie and I, it's kind of I don't know, it's kind of a Gratitude Girl romance. I don't know if that sounds right. I hope nobody takes that the wrong way, but we truly felt something. And Laurie, I'm going to do something different tonight with your favorite thing. I'm going to start the story and ask you to finish it. So this way we can both have a little bit of a take on it, because I know I always put it on you, but I have this part of me that really wants to paint the picture of my knees knocking. So I want everyone to know that Laurie and I met in 2013. We both work for the same company, a greeting card and gift company. An awesome company, to say the least. And our CEO, our visionary CEO, he had an announcement, and the announcement was that I ended up on stage and Laurie ended up on stage. Laurie will give some more of that detail. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I heard my name called. There was an award that was given, and that award was the Gratitude Award. And we did truly make history. The history that we made was that we have both shared the stage at the same time. No one has done that. And we did that together. So when Cody Bateman called my name, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is a dream. Again, talk about a goal or a dream or an idea. I truly envisioned myself doing exactly that at that moment. I wrote this down since 2009. So for 4 years, I was thinking, envisioning, talking to myself about that day and what happened to me. My knees were knocking, my body was shaking with excitement, with joy. And I remember thinking, this is it. What am I going to think about next? So I walk up on stage and I was again thrilled with fear. Oh my gosh, it's here. So I wanted to share the first part of that story because I was also so grateful for the fact that I got to meet Laurie when our CEO and CVO mentioned that there was another Gratitude Girl announcement winner. We were chosen over with, I guess it was 250. Laurie's better with the details than I am. We were chosen by our peers. And again, I thought, I'm going to meet Laurie Delk. Not only that, I'm going to stand next to her. So Laurie, it was a vision for me, the goal, a dream come true that day that we met. So please collaborate with me on how that story goes for you.
Awesome. Yes, it was so exciting for me too. I mean, I'm always, you know, I'm a picture fanatic and video fanatic anyway. And so anytime anybody's up on stage, I'm always got my camera going and the video going. And that way I can capture those memories for them and send it to them one day. And so, you know, when Cody announced that, you know, we always have a theme for each year. And so that year in 2013, the theme was gratitude. And so we always talk about that in our company anyway. That's one of the main things that we do. And that's one of the main things that I've always focused on for so many years. And so it was so neat when they called Kathryn's name and I was busy taking pictures and videoing her. And then they said, for the first time in the history of the company, there's a tie. And he started to announce the information about somebody else, which I still didn't know who it was. And I was trying to figure out, who is that? Who could that be? You know? And then they finally called me. And so yeah, it was over like 250,000 people that we got elected for. So that was really neat too. And such an honor to be able to be announced for that. And so, so once we met up on stage, and then one of the girls that helps direct the onstage productions put us where we were supposed to sit after we got our award, and just sitting there, like within like 2 to 3 minutes tops. I mean, our Gratitude Girls was born. We both just absolutely knew that there was a reason and a purpose that we were put on that stage together in that moment, and that we had to do something with that. And this is what we came up with.
Yeah, it helps if I unmute myself, right? So yeah, it's really amazing that we both saw and felt at that exact moment. And for that reason, we decided to every single month, the same time every month, give or take 2 days this year, we host our show and we speak to someone different from all over the world, not from our company, from friends, new friends, different awesome people. And we have met such a fantastic group of people who have shared with us. Some people have shared things that they never shared before, because this is truly an unrehearsed show. So we did that, we decided that, and here we are today. And our ideas are growing and our plans are growing. And the people that we meet are more awesome. I can just imagine if we had a reunion of all of our guests. Imagine if we can just get everybody on the same show and talk to us about what they liked and what happened and what they did and what's going on in their life. Like, I can just imagine a Gratitude Girl party coming up online. That would be totally amazing. I can see party hats and horn blowers and all kinds of things. So to our audience watching, this is truly a celebration for us every day of our life, because we live it. So that moment did change our life. If you've ever had something that changed your life, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't had anything change your life yet for some reason, and you have a thought in your mind, don't give up on it. You know, see it, say it, feel it, write it, send it to yourself, record yourself saying it. Tell as many people as you can, because these ideas, these affirmations, they come true. We attract them. And here we are tonight. So, Laurie, just starting with the holiday season before we introduce our guests, is there anything that you want to share with us about what's going on?
Yeah, well, just, you know, while you're watching our show, if you have any questions or comments, you know, just post right below this video in our comment section. And Kathryn or I or our special guest that will be announced in just a moment will respond to you when they see the questions.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. So now I'd like to take this part of the show to introduce to you truly someone who I am so honored to meet. You know, we talk about how we get attracted to personalities and to people and how people meet. And when I say attraction, I'm talking about the law of attraction. I'm talking about how we end up with different people in our world, in our network, on a business and professional level. So here we are tonight with the guest. Now, let me tell you about kindness and consideration. Our guest, Alberto, agreed to be on our show on Christmas night. Now, this is an awesome commitment, in my opinion, in our opinion, because I know I can speak for Laurie. And here we are tonight because of what Laurie and I needed to arrange something on our side. So Alberto has agreed to take his personal time on probably one of the, I guess, busiest, most sacred day of the year to some people. So this is what type of kind man we have coming onto our show tonight. And I would like to say that this is my first time meeting Alberto, but yet I truly feel like I know him. So Alberto, let's talk about, I want to welcome you to our show. Thank you so much for being on tonight.
Hi, girls. Thank you for having me, first of all. I'm truly honored to be part of the show. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. I like to tell people how we meet, right? Because that's important. Laurie and I talked about it. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you and I met?
Yes, of course. And before I do that, I feel like your Gratitude Girls is almost an extension of that award ceremony that you two were part of. So on behalf of all your special guests, I like to collectively say thank you for doing that. As you're doing the show, you're kind of allowing the community to be part of that award in a indirect way. So thank you for doing it, first of all. As to how we met, it goes back a few years ago when I was working for ORCA, Ontario Romanian Canadian Association. I was doing volunteering. I was volunteering for the organization in Ontario, which they raise funds for students. And we had to collaborate via emails, you and I, to organize an event, which if I remember correctly, please correct me. I think it didn't happen for other reasons that I can remember, but that was the first time when you and I started to converse. And you were always ever since then, you've always been in my contacts, and now Gratitude Girls happen. And here we are today.
That's right. So we do never know when someone is going to end up in another part of our life. And
Absolutely.
it was Bogdan that had connected us.
Yes, through Bogdan. It was just an exchange of a few emails. The event didn't happen, but even though we conversed only on a few emails, a few years later, here you are, part of my life, and I am part of the show. And who could have thought of that happening? So it's a very small example of never taking for granted anyone you meet. Anyone you meet could be the very next most important person in your life. You just don't know who that will be. So I guess it's a very small example of treat everyone nice, be thankful for everyone you meet, because you just may never know what role that person will play in your life in the future,
right.
in the future, distant future. So that was an example with you and I.
Yes, and thank you for that. And I imagine that we need to call Bogdan. I think we need to talk to him, right? We need to share the show with him so that he can see what he was a catalyst for and how we continue to grow our friendship.
Yes, we should show him the show.
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. We'll have to show him the show. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about your professional life for a moment. And maybe you can certainly do better than I can in explaining that. Can you tell us a little bit about the focus that you have? What business are you in?
All right. Well, as of today, I am in the feature film distribution, in the film distribution industry. But most of my career, I've worked in the health insurance industry and medical industry. I went to Toronto to study acting when I was a young kid at 18. So I've been a little bit in the independent industry for a few years, graduate from Humber College, acting for film and television. Then went on to do a few movies in Toronto. Afterwards, I started to go to York University, and that's when in communications, and that's when I branched off into healthcare management and case management, and that's how I met Bogdan at Medical Confidence. I met him through Orca. I worked with him for about 2 years, and now I'm branching off into the film industry, launching my own company to distribute independent Canadian feature films.
Wow, that's amazing. So Alberto, for people who are thinking about the industry that you're in, is it easy?
Very. I mean, very difficult. Sorry. It's not easy. It's very difficult. But that goes for just about any industry. So no matter what I will say, or no matter what anyone will say about any career, any industry, the higher the ladder you want to climb, the more of a professional you want to become in that field or career, it's going to be more and more difficult. Otherwise, everyone would do it. So yes, it's very challenging. There's a lot of competition. But if you like what you do, and if you do it well, eventually your work will speak for itself, and you will progress. So I'm at the very beginning. I'm very humble and excited to learn as much as I can. But I think as long as you're passionate about what you do and you keep doing that, eventually you'll succeed somehow. Eventually your work will speak for itself. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So I have a question. So It's not easy. You chose a profession, you know about it. You're not going in blindly, obviously, into it. Do you have your eye on something? Do you have a sight, something in vision that you remind yourself why you're doing this?
Yes, absolutely.
Would you be willing to share that or part of it with us?
Yes, of course. So the vision that I have is at this very moment, it's very difficult for Canadian independent filmmakers to distribute their films. It's a very big problem we have in Canada because we depend of the American distribution industry and American film industry. We're very dependent to the point that we don't have our own industry. So my goal is to change that. My goal is to help Canadian filmmakers become more independent of the American model and of American companies. So with that gigantic and ambitious goal in mind, it kind of allows me to focus on an everyday basis and to know, what am I struggling for? What am I fighting for? It's for this goal. It's to help Canadian independent filmmakers get out of this problem, or at least be part of the solution. And that, for me, is good enough. I'm happy to have competitors. I'm happy to, it is a market after all, but I just want to be part of the solution. And for me, it's more than enough. I'm thankful for that. I'm grateful for that. And going towards that bigger goal, bigger vision to contribute to the problem that we have in the industry, that is, for me, the vision that allows me to keep going every day, no matter how hard it is.
Alberto, do you see one particular obstacle in your way that you need to get to and overcome it?
There's many. I think we can turn this show into a 10-hour show if I were to tell you all the obstacles. But at my stage where I am currently with my company, KinoClick, my very first obstacle is to educate to the filmmakers of the problem, and to educate them, to inform them of the existence of the company and of how easy or simple the solution can be, as long as we all work together. So there's a lot of education to be done, and that is the very first and probably the most complicated, challenging, because there's a lot of people that need to be convinced, and you have to go through that process. So at this point, that is a challenge for me, the educational part. But there's plenty others. I don't want to hold you on. I don't want to waste your time with that list, but I would say that's the biggest obstacle for me as a company. As for the industry, the dependence and reliance on the American companies, American cinemas, American distribution companies, Canadian filmmakers rely on that. So that's the industry's biggest problem. We have to learn to help ourselves and to rely on ourselves, and that opens the door to to a lot of other more problems. But those are the two biggest obstacles that I'm facing right now.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So Alberto, my next question is, if you were to have a solution handed to you on a silver platter today, not knowing what the problem is, what would the solution be that would make your journey easier?
If I were to be handed a solution in my personal life or my career, in my industry?
You can answer that any way you'd like.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a tough one. I haven't thought about that because it applies to any aspect of our lives. I wish I'd had a silver bullet in my industry, as in my personal life, in my financial life, in my romance life. I have to say, I don't know. Let me think about that, because I don't want to answer with the wrong answer and misinform people.
Okay,
I'll be honest, I'm not sure.
Think about it. Think about a solution.
Okay.
Okay, something that's going to be handed to you on a silver platter. You're going to walk up, you're going to go into the next room, and there's a solution sitting there waiting for you. And you're thinking, great, now where are the other 10 more or 100 more? But solution number one, the first one that's going to be handed to you. You can think about that. I'll come back to you on that.
All right, come back to me on that. Okay.
Definitely come back to you on that. So let me ask you about your movie career. How was that for you being in that industry?
It was a lot of fun, but clearly the career itself was very short. I think I've only done about 4 or 5 years of independent projects in Toronto. But if I could describe in one word, adventurous. It's a lot of fun. It's very exciting, of course. But at the same time, because there's so much competition in Toronto, in Canada, it's extremely difficult to make it. And there's different definitions of success in the acting industry. Some people just have smaller to supporting roles a few times a year, and it's enough to pay the rent. They're not famous, but that's their career, and they're happy to do that. Obviously, the other extreme is to be famous in Hollywood. So there's anywhere in between you could be successful. I can call myself, I was successful, even though I was not famous, but it was a lot of fun. I've gained a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. I've seen a little bit how the process works. And I've also seen the challenges that we face as an industry. And as I grew a little older, I wanted to tackle those obstacles and those challenges. And that's how my distribution company was formed, by being exposed to those problems, to those challenges. But overall, it was a lot of fun. I think I would do it again.
That's what I was going to ask you. Would you do it again? I wanted to read something to our audience that you were kind enough to share with me. And there were so many things that you wrote that I thought were really, this certainly inspirational. But I wanted to read this one, and then I wanted to ask you a little bit about it.
Sure.
So Alberto wrote this. He wrote some quotes, and he shared them with Laurie and I. And this one in particular is one that really resonates with me.
Okay.
Stars don't shine because they contain energy, but because they unleash it. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yes, of course. So it's a little quote that came to mind after seeing people in my own entourage, including myself, but mostly people in my entourage, especially from the acting industry. To be an artist, or it's extremely difficult. And there are numerous of ingredients, to call them, required: talent, motivation, discipline. And sometimes it's not enough to be talented. is not enough to contain just one ingredient or even all of them. But if you don't do nothing with that talent, then it's a little bit of a waste. So if you can sing, if you have a beautiful voice, that is great. You can be you are a great singer. But if you don't go out and sing, if you don't show the world, if you don't sing for the world, if you don't unleash that talent, then chances are you may not shine. So we all have a certain talent. We all have something we're good at or passionate about. And we have a little bit of responsibility to share that with the world, just like others have done before us, and that's how collectively we make the world a little bit better. But it's not enough to just have talent. You have to share it. You have to expose it. You have to unleash that talent. So just like the stars who unleash their energy, that's why they shine. Not just because they contain it, but because they share it, they unleash it. So yeah, that's how I came up with that.
Thank you. I really, everything you wrote, they were all awesome. I wanted to open the show with that, but I thought I would ask you the question
I had a feeling you were going to pick on that,
it.
on this one. I had a feeling.
Well, then your intuition is right on. I'd like to know if you would share a little bit about a day in the life. What is your typical day like? You know, obviously you share the parts that you want. Do you get up at 3 in the morning? Do you get up at 10 in the morning? Are you busy? Do you tell us? Give us a sample idea.
Well, I'm trying really hard to be part of to join the 5 a.m. club, but it's extremely difficult to get into that club. I love my sleep, so I'm not quite there at 5, but I wake up around 7 or 8. And I've always start with having my 1 cup of water and then my coffee. And while I'm having my coffee and my water, I do my 10 to 15 minutes of yoga. I never skip yoga in the morning. I try to wake up my entire body with yoga. And then I hop on a computer from about 8:45, 9 a.m. And I check my emails. I correspond with various clients or potential clients. I do a little bit of social media and marketing. I work on that. And then I meet, if I have any meetings, I usually try to arrange my meetings before 3. I like to have between 3 and 5 available to wrap up my day. So any meetings happen before 3. And then I just wrap up. I plan for the next day of work. I plan any meetings or go through my emails again, my social media again. And then in the evening, that's when a lot of research happens at my own pace. I research various industry articles or news or any relevant content that's relevant for me. I go to gym. I try at least to make it 3 to 4 times. I push myself, but we all know how difficult that is. But I try. And when I'm not in the gym, I read. I try to read about 2 books a month if I can. And I read a little bit, have dinner with my girlfriend, and then continue reading before I go to bed. So
you're dedicated.
I try to push myself. I try to teach myself to be dedicated. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not as dedicated as I try to be, but I think it's important to keep pushing yourselves. So that's what I try to do. I try to schedule my day. I have a little agenda where I write everything that I have to do for the day or for the week, and then I check them off with a little pen, and as almost like army style. But I have to teach myself to do that. Otherwise, I won't. Otherwise, I won't do it at all. So I have to babysit myself in a way and teach myself to be disciplined. So that's the process that I'm going through right now.
Right. Accountability, right? We need to be accountable to ourselves. And it's really helps when we pull someone in with us. If we have someone that we can be accountable to them for something that we do. So I agree. We all definitely need to work on that. All of us. And even if we thought, well, let me take today off and let me not be accountable. yeah, you got to start all over again the next day. So you might as well keep at it, right?
Exactly. Especially as entrepreneurs, you have to
Absolutely.
kick yourself in the butt to move forward.
So that someone doesn't kick us aside. So
Yeah.
yes, to stay ahead of the game. Well, I'm sure that Laurie has a question for you. Laurie, I know that you must have a question, so I'm going to pass the show on to you for a few minutes, or as many minutes as you would like.
Okay, awesome. Yes. So my first question I have is, was that Bogdan Fedor that you guys were talking about?
Bogdan Stanescu.
Okay, awesome. So
Yes.
I know a Bogdan in Canada that I've been friends with for 25 years, and I hadn't talked to him probably 10 years. So so I thought that would be interesting if that was the same person. So anyway.
But they probably know each other. So
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I read all your quotes earlier also, and the star and the shine one that spoke out to me as much too. So I'm so glad that Kathryn picked that to get you to talk about that. Because that's one of the things that I do with what I do anyway, of talking about sparkles and shines, and I like anything that sparkles and blings. So
was that your favorite too? Or
yes, that was.
Okay. Because that's not my favorite. I have a different favorite. We'll talk about that one later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to. Well, tell me that. That's my question then.
Oh,
what's
okay.
your favorite one, and tell me why.
Okay. One of my favorites is I think the one with the rainbow. Don't waste your time explaining the rainbow to someone who only sees black and white. And the reason I came up with that is I often find myself in heated debates with people who are not looking to learn. They're in a debate just for the sake of arguing, or just for the sake of proving you wrong. And when you speak, they're not listening to learn. They're listening to pick on a word to prove you wrong. That's their whole intent. And I became an expert of spotting those people, and that's when I realized, okay, I'm wasting my time. If you're not willing to learn, or to at least hear my perspective, then chances are you see white and black. So I'm not going to explain the rainbow, because you're not going to see it anyways. So that's one little trick to keep cool and to avoid stressful, unnecessary situations in my life. I try to eliminate all possible stress. I'm a happy guy usually. So if I smell someone who just wants to argue, I'm going to steer away. And hence I wrote that little quote. So that's why that one's among my favorites.
Yeah, that's good. And that, that reminded me when you were saying that, like, one of, being respectful no matter what, right? So you can have your opinion, I can have my opinion. They can be different. They don't have to match, and we can both respect each other for whatever our thing is, whether it's religious, political, business, personal, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then the other thing that I thought of when you were talking too was, some people aren't ready to hear that yet, just like thinking about, I mean, you're young anyway, but, like raising children, you might say something to a child that just, for example, has to do with like adult relations, and so you might word something differently because they're not ready to hear that conversation at that point, right? Where an adult might be more ready. And so, so that I thought of that too, that they might not be ready for that, Yes,
correct. You said respect, and that word resonates. I value relationships so much, and almost everything boils down to respect. Everything can happen within respect. You can have a total different opinion. You can see a black, I can see a white, but as long as we're both respectful towards each other, that relationship can flourish regardless of our opinions, regardless of our point of views. So yes, it has a lot to do with respect. That's the key word.
That's great. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. Like, it's great. When I say it's great, I mean, like, that's great. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Alberto, we have so many things that we want to ask you. There's no question about it, more about your business. But what I wanted to be able to do was give you an opportunity to ask any question to Laurie and I. So let's see if I can be a good director. You let me know, because if I am, then maybe there's a place for me in your movie world. Okay, so let's call this an audition. So maybe you would like to give us a question each about anything that you'd like to ask us, unrehearsed, of course. You can tell us who the question is for. It could be the same question, different question, and we will answer you. Was that clear? Yes.
All right. Well, I'll start very simple. One thing that I'm very curious for, and I'll start with you, RaRa. You briefly touched the topic on how the show was born, but can you dive into more details and tell the audience what prompted you to actually do the show for the world? What was your intention and your goal and your mission that this show was the only viable solution?
Yeah, thank you. So to make sure I understand your question, like the mission.
Yeah.
So how it happened for us was extremely organic. Laurie and I'll speak about myself, because Laurie and I both share the same feeling, but we could articulate it differently. So it felt for me that having a dream, having a goal, having a vision, knowing that one day that vision would come true, and there it was right in front of my eyes happening, that everyone, and being grateful for that everyone should be able to feel their dream, their idea come to fruition. Yeah. So being grateful and being in gratitude certainly is a different life than wanting and wishing and hoping and trying. And so for me, it was about being in that moment of gratitude and finding a way to share with people, other people who are in gratitude for one thing or another, which we'll talk about perhaps later. You might want to share with us something that you're grateful for, or someone, or a moment in your life. So it happened for me that Laurie and I made that connection, that instant connection, and we both wanted to have a platform that other people could come and share. So from that evolves other ideas, of course. Right now, this is the way that we're choosing to share. But Laurie and I together travel, together we speak, together we coach and train, separately we coach and train. But the Gratitude Girls as an entity has a component of educating as well, but providing a platform where the freedom of gratitude is the language. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, thank you. Very nice.
Thank you for asking.
Of course. And now if I can turn to Laurie, the second part of almost the same question would be, if there is a next, what is next for Gratitude Girls? What are you girls cooking behind the scenes, and what do you plan for 2019 for the show? That would be similar but different, or completely different. Is there something in the books for 2019 for the show?
Yeah, so we have several things coming up for this year. Okay. So like Kathryn talked about, we do a lot of coaching together with different small groups, as well as one-on-one coaching with us. And then we've also speak together on stages and train at different corporate events, as well as personal and business sales events, things like that. Spreading gratitude, but also doing business and sales leadership training and things like that. So we plan to have a lot of that more on our books on the future. And as far as this goes, we don't plan for this to ever change. This is something that we wanted to do, you know, because everybody has something that they're grateful and thankful for in their life, right? And we just kind of wanted this to be a platform of allowing to bring someone on and letting them share, you know, what they're grateful for with the world. And because when you do share it, then more comes back to you, right? We believe that what you send out, you get back. And so, you know, this part of it is, you know, Kathryn, with her background, she's like the psychology person. And so she talks, and she's kind of like the therapist, and is the talk show host. And then I do all the technical behind the scenes stuff.
Yes.
And then we play off each other really well.
I noticed.
So yeah, so that part is staying the same, but we do have a lot of other things, and we are currently writing a book, and so we're going to launch that before the end of the year, and that will go along with our speaking engagements as well, and our training, and the Gratitude Girls training workbook, and so.
Wow. Okay. Training workbook. Okay. So that leads into my next question. I had another one, but since you mentioned that you're writing a book, we already have that in common. What can the audience expect from the book? You don't have to give it all away, but I'm sure, just like I'm curious, some of the audience members are curious as well. What can we expect, long story short, from the book?
Long story short, it is how to find the gratitude in your personal life, your professional life, any part of your life, and no matter what happens, whether it's a blessing or a tragedy or, you know, anything that happens, because we all go through stuff, no matter what race, what financial status, what part of the country we're in, you know, or part of the world we're in. Right. You know, everybody has things, but there's always things to be grateful for, no matter what, whether things are going great or whether things are going not so great, you know, or somewhere in between. And so, and when you find that gratitude in your life in those areas and consistently find that, then it makes everything else go more smoothly. So that's kind of the basis of it, but we go into a lot more detail in the different chapters.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, I'm definitely looking forward. That sounds exciting. Thank you for sharing that. Interesting. Cool.
Well, we thank you for those questions, and not that we are not interested in hearing more. We certainly are, and we can hang on after the show once we wrap the show up. So please don't hang up yet. So when we're done, don't disappear yet from us. So we can talk a little bit more. I won't. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So what I want our audience to know is that we are an open book.
Yes.
To open the book on following I guess a show like ours, understanding, you know, the inception of how it happened organically. It happened, right? Yeah. It was like that. It just, there it was. And when something works and it feels right, and you use your intuition, and it shows up, like I was asking you earlier, if there were a solution handed to you on a silver platter, what solution would you like that to be, Alberto?
Well, you're not going to let this one go, are you? Okay. Well, obviously it depends of a little bit of within the context. And while I still don't have an answer for that, the first thing that comes to mind is the question of if you could have one power, any power in the world, what would it be? And to me, it was never to fly. I know that's the most popular one. I've never wanted to fly. But the one power which could be a solution to a lot of problems if you overthink it would be the ability to read very, very fast. If I could read very, very fast, chances are most of my problems would be probably solved very, very fast. And that would apply in my career, in my personal life, in your financial life, in all aspects. If we could have the ability to read very fast, I think we would find a solution to whatever the problem might be in front of us. And sometimes we do have that ability. It's just not fast. You just have to put in the work. If you have a problem, if you Google for 20 hours, chances are you'll find a solution. But instead, it takes us a month or a year because I don't want to say we're lazy, but we tend to postpone things. We tend to neglect X, Y, Z. So while we may not have that ability to read very fast, we still have the ability to research or to put in the work. And with a little bit of discipline, with a little bit of will, we can have that solution, whatever the problem may be. But we have to put in the work. We have to do our research.
Right.
I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
no, it does. It's your answer. Your answer is great. I mean, it's to have the time freedom.
Yeah.
To be able to attract the speed that we want for the solutions that we're looking for, right? I believe that if I were given solutions handed on a silver platter at a time when I wasn't ready for it, then it wouldn't be a solution.
Yeah.
But a solution that would be handed to me at the right time that I needed it, that would change perhaps the energy that I'm spending on one thing to unleash it so that I can go to the next.
Yeah.
You know, some people it's time, some people it's money, sometimes it's something very specific. It's a research, it's something scientific, but being able to read fast to get through something with speed and comprehension, that's awesome. Because if we could envision you getting through it, then there's a solution. So
Correct.
you see it, you say it in some strange way, it appears. You'll let us know about that. I'm sure. I'm sure you let us know about it.
I will.
Alberto, if someone wanted to know a little bit about you,
Okay.
where do they go? What do they look up? Tell us your company name again. Tell us your name. Tell us where someone can go and dig a little bit deeper.
Well, Google is a very good start. I think there are a few interviews if they just Google Alberto Tihan, and by the same name, I am available on social media like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The same handle, Alberto Tihan. There are some interviews if they just Google the name as well. As for my company, it's called KinoClick. The link I'm sure will be in the show notes probably. And on your social media posts, kinoclick.ca, and they can find all the information on the company and the mission and what we try to do. All that information is there.
Okay, now thank you for that. You mentioned something about a super something before. If you were to have a superpower, tell me, Alberto, what would that superpower, besides reading fast, what would that superpower be?
Besides reading fast, not having to sleep. I wish I didn't have to sleep, because in my opinion, that's that time, that 1/3 of your day, 8 hours out of 24, we could spend it more efficiently into something else, spending time with our loved ones, or improving our sport, or whatever your passions are. You can work on that, you can focus on that, or your careers, or anything but sleeping. If you think about it, that's 1/3 of your day, that's 1/3 of your life. So 1/3 out of a 90-year span, let's say 30 years you're sleeping, that's a lot of time that you could have accomplished so much. So I wish I didn't have to sleep. So I can invest that time somewhere else.
There you are, Alberto Tihan, with the superpower of being up 24/7, getting things done really fast, helping the Canadian industry. So is there someone, one more question, is there someone in this industry that you're in that is doing what you want to do, or are you truly the trailblazer?
There are various distribution platforms. Also Crave TV, which is Canadian owned, but KinoClick aims to be more of an online cinema, and that we haven't seen. I personally haven't seen that. So I don't want to claim anything because there's so much information on the internet. It's hard to come across all of it. But we really try to be an online cinema, unlike other options currently available that are subscription based. In my personal opinion, as a consumer, there's only so many subscriptions you can have. So I try to stay away from that route. I'm trying to go the opposite way, the road less traveled. And sometimes we hope that's how innovation occurs. So I haven't seen anyone doing this. So we might be the only ones, at least for now. I'm sure there will be competition. There already is. So, yeah.
Well, we're happy to hear this news on the Gratitude Girl Show. We're really happy to be here at this part of your journey so that we can travel it with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And that is one thing I'm speaking of gratitude. I am personally extremely grateful for having this, for stumbling upon the obstacles and for having the desire and the motivation to find a solution. I'm grateful that I had that ability and that will, and to be so stubborn as to go towards that difficult high mountain. That's something that I'm personally very grateful for.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Alberto.
Yeah.
I truly feel that you're right. This could be a 10-hour show with the questions that we have for you.
I'm an open book. Go for it.
Yeah, we need to hang out more. We need to be able to touch base and follow the journey that you're on. And the connection that we have today on this show is the beginning of something new, though.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're certainly here to experience that with you in a very positive way and to support you in your endeavors. And I'm certain that you will go where your eyes are, where your focus is, and you will do what you set out to do and more. I can feel it.
I hope so too.
I can feel it. And so if I would be bold enough to say, if I feel it and I see it and you're focused on it, Laurie, what do you think? It's going to happen, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Laurie, I don't like to look at the clock, but I am looking at the clock, and I want to say how grateful I am to have you on the show. Alberto, is there a parting message or a quote or something that you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up the show tonight?
Yes, so much. I don't know where to start. Well, maybe we can end my part with another quote. I wasn't expecting that question, so I will answer it to you with maybe another of the quotes. If you allow me just a few seconds, I'll pull that up.
Absolutely.
And I'll pick which one I want to share out of the 10. Let's see. What can I share with the audience? Well, first of all, I do want to end what you last mentioned when I said that I'm grateful for being able to see an obstacle and to pursue it. You said that your confidence is going to happen. At the end of the day, no matter what you're pursuing, no matter what your goal is, as cheesy as it sounds, the journey really is the goal. Even if you not achieve it, even if you don't make it, even if you're not as successful as you want it to be, at the end of the day, or at the end of the journey, if you look back, you will probably be a lot more further than you would have been if you would have not pursued that journey at all. So it matters more or less how successful you end up being. It matters more or less if you achieve your goal. But as long as you pursue it, as long as you give it your 100% best and you go for it, that alone is success. So in my case, it doesn't matter how successful my company is going to be. Just being in the game, just being in the industry, and being able to share that with the great films that we have, and being able to be a part of those filmmakers' journey and their lives, to me, that's successful enough. So I just wanted to share that before that moment goes away.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, for the life of me, I can't find the rest of the quotes, but I'll let you pick one more quote and ask me about it, because I don't have the list in front of me.
Okay,
so if you want,
I do.
We can end with that.
I have it. I have it right here.
Okay.
I don't promise. My word is sufficient.
Oh. Okay, that is definitely my favorite. Out of all of them, that's my favorite. I don't believe in I swear or I promise. I believe in your word should be strong enough or sufficient, because if you say something, or if you want to do something and you verbally express it, there should be no need for a promise. There should be no need for I swear I'll do it, or I'll swear XYZ, whatever. Your word should be literally sufficient. That's why I never promise and I never swear. I just say I'll do something and then I'll do it.
Yes, you do.
I hope that the explanation answers the question.
Yes, as you promised, without promising, with your word,
Yeah.
I'll be there on the show. It wasn't.
Correct.
It wasn't a swear. It wasn't something
Yeah.
you said. Oh, you said yes. That was it. It was
Correct.
as a matter of fact, and that is a strong, strong quality that you convey. Your word is exactly that. So that's awesome,
Yeah.
right? Ending on that is just a fantastic, fantastic piece. I'm really so excited that we have you on our show as our December guest, because 2019, starting with you right now, is really a great space for all of us. Alberto, thank you so much for being on the show. Please hang out a little bit longer with us. Laurie, yeah, thank you so much. And what part of town are you in, just to let everybody know? What
I'm
city?
currently in Montreal.
Okay, awesome.
In
You're
Montreal,
in Montreal.
Quebec, yes. And the
Okay.
honor is all mine, especially for your December show. It's truly a pleasure and an honor. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'm sitting here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So, Laurie, our guests are watching. They'll be watching the replay. How does someone get on the show? Can you talk to the people that are tuning in and saying, wait a minute, I have something I want to share? Can you tell our audience, how do they hop on with us?
Yes, absolutely. So go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/gratitudegirls and click to send a message right there. When you send it right there, it comes to Kathryn and I both, and we both get to read the story, and then we get in touch with you to find out when we can fit you on the schedule to be one of the featured guests on our show.
Awesome. And if you are not the type who wants to be out there, but you want to speak with us, by all means, reach out to Laurie and I, speak to us privately. We do have a training component to what we do, and we would certainly open up our conference call to speak with you if you have an idea, something that you want to share with us. It's truly our pleasure. So, Laurie, at this time, I guess we need to wrap up 2018. Oh my goodness.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, the new year is right around the corner. So make sure you're writing out your gratitude each day. And if you haven't been, make sure you get your gratitude journal and write down 5 specific things every single day in that journal before you go to bed that happened that day. And
yes.
So you're with us next Tuesday, the 4th Tuesday of every month. And 9:30 Eastern and 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific.
Yes, thank you so much to everyone, from our heart to yours. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and we will speak to you in the new year.
Happy holidays.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.